So in this video, I'm going to teach you how to shift gears on a motorcycle. So you can start out with a static practice before you even get on the motorcycle. You can see the things that you're going to need in order to be successful. So one of those things is going to be your clutch lever here, your throttle over here, and your shift lever right down here. So the typical procedure for shifting gears, whether you're upshifting or downshifting, is you're going to have throttle open while you're riding, nice steady throttle. When it's time to shift, you want to roll off the throttle, so get rid of the throttle. Then you want to squeeze in your clutch, get that lever squeezed in. Next, depending on if you're upshifting, you'll hook your toes underneath and lift up on the shift lever. Once you shift to your new higher gear, now you can ease the clutch lever back out, and then finally roll back on the throttle, give it some throttle to resume your travel. Now the same is true for if you're downshifting. You're going to roll off, squeeze in, press down with your foot on that shift lever. Now that you're in your new lower gear, you're going to ease that clutch back out, and then you could roll back on the throttle if you're continuing forward, or use your brakes nice and smooth if you're coming to a stop. Now let's see what that looks like as we're actually riding. One question that a lot of my students ask me is how to shift gears on a motorcycle and how to know when to shift gears on a motorcycle. So especially when you're starting out as a beginner, it might be kind of hard to figure out what's the proper speed, when do I shift gears, this and that. Whatever your questions are in relation to gears and shifting, you can kind of just listen to your motorcycle. Every bike's going to be a little bit different, but most bikes, you can feel the motorcycle, you can listen to the bike, and the bike will tell you when it wants to shift. Like right now, if I was doing 55 miles per hour and I was in first gear, the bike would be screaming at me because the RPMs would be through the roof. That's letting me know that I need to shift up to a higher gear. Anytime you get onto the highway, you're always going to try to get up to 6th gear if your bike has 6 gears. So a good little pro tip for you that I like to use, especially if you're riding kind of nice and mellow on your bike and not racing it everywhere. For however many tens of miles per hour you're traveling, that's the gear that you can be in. So if I'm doing from 0 to 10 miles per hour, I could be in first gear. If I'm in the 20 mile per hour range, I could be in second gear. If I'm in the 30 mile per hour range, third gear. 40 mile per hour range, fourth gear. 50 mile per hour range, fifth gear. 60 mile per hour range and up, 6th gear. So it's a really easy way to kind of think about it as a beginner to get started. Try and just look at the first digit as far as what speed you're doing and make sure you're in that gear. Like right now, I'm in 3rd gear, just made it up here into town. It's a 25 mile an hour zone. So 30 miles an hour, 3rd gear, bike feels nice and comfortable. Another thing to think about is to help keep you safe on your bike as far as what gear you're in while you're cruising. You can make sure that you have some throttle, some acceleration available to you at all times, right? So even if you're on the highway in 6th gear doing 75, if you try to twist the throttle back, it might not have that much response or acceleration anyway. You might need to get out of a bad spot and accelerate a little faster. In that event, you would downshift to a lower gear. That would provide you with more acceleration in those lower gears and allow you to quickly maneuver if you needed to. Low gears provide more acceleration. Higher gears gives you more smoothness. So you start out in low gears, accelerate up to the speed you want, and then shift up to a higher gear to smooth it out. It's as simple as that. Now, as I mentioned before, if you just kind of get used to listening to your bike and feeling your bike, right now I think I'm in 3rd gear and I'm only doing 19 miles per hour. The bike is kind of sputtering, chugging, making this kind of chugga chugga sound a little bit. So if I notice that, if it's chugging a little bit, it means I'm kind of going too slow for the gear that I'm in. I'm in too high of a gear for this speed. So in that case, I could downshift to a lower gear and see if that helps smooth things out. So right there, first gear, got up to about 12 miles per hour, upshifted to second. Now I'm in second gear doing about 20. It feels good, right? It's pretty smooth right here. I have some acceleration if I need it, but I can also just chill, right? Now, if I'm doing about 20 and I'm going to continue that speed, then I could shift up to third gear, smooth it out just a little bit, and maintain this current speed, and it feels pretty smooth. So feel out the motorcycle, see if it feels smooth. That'll help let you know if it's time to shift gears or not. So most of these small streets, small in-town neighborhoods and streets, I'm doing about 15-20 miles per hour. I think most of the speed limits are posted at 25. So if you're doing around 20-25 in these small streets and neighborhoods, parking lots, second gear is a really good place to be. It's nice and smooth. You're just chilling, taking your time. Once you get onto a main road and start going a little bit faster than that, then you can bump it up to third gear and so on. And as you get used to cruising around town and trying out different roads and streets, then you'll get used to the different feel of different gears and see which ones you like the best. So it can almost be a rider preference as far as what gear you want to be in. But that's a good place to start, is think about those intervals of 10 for your gears, and then think about smoothness and how the bike feels. If it's screaming at you, then you need to upshift to a higher gear. If it's kind of bogging down and not really being responsive and it feels like it's kind of sputtering and choking, then it's probably time to go to a lower gear. So that'll really help you. All right, now we're gonna run in here and grab a pizza. So here's a good example for you guys. I'm in fourth gear at the moment and I'm doing 20 miles an hour. Now I want you to try to listen to the bike. I'm going to just keep decelerating, slowing down while I'm in fourth gear. Already the bike's kind of bogging down. It's kind of making these strange noises, like it's craving a little bit of gas, a little bit of power, a little bit of fuel, because I'm in too high of a gear for such a low speed. Now same thing here, I'm gonna go back down to first gear. So if I start out in first gear, listen to how loud the bike gets. Right? It's screaming. I'm up to 20 miles per hour in first gear. It's screaming at me. It wants me to upshift, right? Same thing in second. You can hear it getting louder and louder as the RPMs are raising up. So if your bike's yelling at you, shift up. If your bike's bogging down and sputtering at you, shift down. And you can just kind of listen to the bike. Kind of a nice smooth rise in RPMs. Boom, there's a shift, right? Now it can rise up again. This is third gear. Boom, nice smooth shift to fourth gear. So you can kind of listen for that natural build of volume. Now I'm in fifth gear coming down this hill, doing about 45, 50. So if you kind of train your ear and listen for that natural rise. Now I'm climbing this hill, so fifth gear might be a little too high. It's kind of bogging. So then I could downshift to fourth gear, give me a little more acceleration and power to climb up the hill, right? So if you're going up the hill and your bike is kind of sluggish and feels like it doesn't want to pull you up the hill, you're probably in too high of a gear, going too slow. So so you can downshift. Then once you flatten out, you're at speed, go ahead and upshift to smooth it out. Now I'm in 5th gear doing 45 miles per hour. It feels really nice and smooth. The bike's just chilling. It's not too loud. It's not screaming at me. It's not bogging down. I still have some throttle response, which is what I was talking about earlier. A little bit of acceleration and response. So right here, if I was just chilling, holding my throttle steady, if the wall started closing in on me and I needed to make an evasive maneuver and accelerate out of a problem area, then listen to what it's going to sound like. Right? There's plenty of power right there in that 5th gear at 45. Now notice if I shift up to 6th gear, I'm going to do the same speed. I can already feel the bike bogging just a little bit at this low speed in 6th gear. So now watch the same thing. If I want to give it some power and get out, it still has some available right there, but not as much. It has a little bit of a lag in the throttle response and the amount of torque and acceleration that's available to me, right? Now watch if I go all the way to 4th gear. Now I'm in 4th gear, trying to get back up to about 45 like I was. You can hear it's a little louder now. I'm in 4th gear. Now if I accelerate, it really has some acceleration, some power available to me. So the lower the gear you're in, the more acceleration, the more pull it's going to have. The higher you're in, the smoother it's going to be, the less pull it's going to give you. So right here, 2nd gear, listen to the bike. 3rd gear, I'm in the 30s. 4th gear, I'm in the 40s. 5th gear, I'm in the 50s. Speed limit here is only 45, so I can just chill right around 50. And it feels nice and smooth in 5th gear at 50 miles an hour. Now if I want to let my motor relax a little bit, I can go ahead and shift up to 6th gear and just chill at this 50 mile an hour speed in 6th gear. Notice how the bike is kind of making a lower drone now out of the exhaust. Hopefully, I don't know if you can hear it, but it's much lower now. The RPMs aren't as high. Everything's quieter because the motor's not working as hard. And this would be cruising at a highway speed, you know, in 6th gear. And if I needed to downshift, slow down, there's 5th gear, there's 4th gear, there's 3rd gear. I'm approaching a stop sign. Can go all the way to 2nd gear. Notice I'm easing my clutch out every time. Now I'm down to 1st gear. Make sure it's clear. Now I'm up to 2nd. 3rd. Now notice every time I'm rolling off my throttle first, then squeezing in my clutch. Once I'm in my new gear, ease your clutch back out, roll back on the throttle. So here's what it looks like. Rolling off, squeezing in, shifting down, easing out, rolling back on. Now that's kind of one at a time, very slow motion, but as you get more experience, as you get more smoothness with your shifting, you'll learn to do all those things all at once. It's kind of a fun thing to learn as you go. It's fun to learn what gear is the best for what road and what situation, and get familiar with your motorcycle, your machine, what gears it likes to play in the most. 1st gear, 2nd gear. If I want to accelerate harder, I can shift sooner. While still following that same kind of rule as earlier. So if you're merging onto the highway or something like that, you'd probably be accelerating a little quicker to get up to speed, to get in with the flow of traffic. So then you'd want to shift a little quicker, give it a little more throttle as you're accelerating. If you're just taking your time and kind of puttering around nice and slow and gentle, you take all the time you need to accelerate, make the shift. So that's one of the common problems that my students have when we're out actually learning how to shift on the range for the beginner class. is we have an exercise where we start you at a stop in first gear, and then you get moving, and it's just a straight line, then you stop at a cone down at the end. So you start out in first, and the goal is to upshift to second gear, reach the large cone, come to a stop, and shift back down to first gear so that you come to a stop in first gear ready to go. Now, one problem that my students sometimes have with that is they'll get going in first gear, but they won't really accelerate or get any speed going, and then they'll try to make that shift up to second gear, and usually by the time they reach second gear, they've lost all their speed, all their momentum, and now the bike's really bogging and struggling, and a lot of students will just stall because they weren't able to shift gears quickly enough or keep their momentum or their RPMs built up enough to make for a smooth shift. So by the time they hit second, the bike's going chugga 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 and not going anywhere, and then the bike stalls out and they got to put their foot down. So to help you avoid that common problem, you can simply start out in first gear, build up some speed, some momentum, accelerate, get your speed up. Doesn't have to be fast, 5 miles an hour maybe. Just get a little speed going, and then roll off, squeeze in, lift up, ease out, roll on. And if you can do the shifting nice and smooth and rhythmic just like that, then you'll have nice smooth shifts, and you won't lose all your momentum and your speed, and you'll be in your new gear. Then you can get back on that throttle and continue on. If you're kind of herky-jerking all the way to a stop as you're trying to get to your next gear before you get moving in your next gear, and it's taking you too long to shift, you want to try and make the whole process smooth and seamless, just like that. So I went second around the roundabout up to third gear, fourth gear. Now notice I'm not going crazy with my hands. I'm not doing anything abrupt and jerky. You want your hands to be slow motion, smooth. Everything's happening smooth, calm, controlled. If you're ripping your hands on and off, notice just me demonstrating right there, letting off the throttle abruptly, abrupt things happen. The bike is going to respond according to how you treat it, right? So if you suck and you're doing things abrupt and herky-jerky and crappy, the bike's going to be herky-jerky and crappy. If you're doing things smooth and nice and easy and controlled, then the bike's going to be smooth and controlled. What's up, brother? The necessities. How's your day going?
Going well, and you?
Good, man.
Anything else?
That's it.
698. Thank you. Having a good ride?
Yeah.
Beautiful day for us.
Yeah. Just out filming some how-to videos for my students. So.
Oh, damn. Let's go.
Yeah. Post them up on YouTube, then it makes it easier for them to learn, you know.
Smart. 1302. Thank you.
Thank you, man. What's up?
Motorcycle lesson?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I got one of my cards here if you want to check it out sometime. You can scan that code, take you to my channel, or you can just punch it in, it'll find me.
Okay.
Yeah, check it out.
Great.
Right on, brother. Have a good day.
You have a great one.
Yes, sir. I think we're doing pretty good on time so far. See how we do on the way back. It's nice when you can multitask, you know. Go get a pizza and cook it and go back to town, get a drink and ice cream, all the while filming a how-to shift gears video. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, here we go. Now we're gonna make a nice big U-turn right here. So I'm turning my head, looking where I want to go. Easy. So now I'm already in second gear because I'm already kind of rolling. Listen to the noise of the bike. Third gear. Fourth gear. Now the speed limit's only 30, so that's good enough right there. 35, fourth gear, just chilling. Now notice if I wanted to go back down to third gear, notice how much louder it got right there. As soon as I eased my clutch out, the RPMs jumped up. So just that volume alone will let you know that, hey, try out fourth gear. See if that feels a little smoother, a little quieter, right? Without bogging down. Now I'm downshifting, I'm squeezing in my brake. I went all the way to first gear in case I wanted to stop, back to second so I could keep rolling. Looking through my turn where I want to go, point my nose. Still in second. Now up to third, nice and smooth. So a lot of it has to do with just feeling out the bike, listening to the bike, getting used to the bike. Keeping your momentum going, keeping your RPMs built up, making a smooth transition from one gear to the next. Because that's all shifting is you're transitioning between your gears. So if you can do that smoothly, then it's going to be smooth. If you do it abrupt, it's going to be abrupt. Just try to be smooth like peanut butter. I thought that was my horn. I was trying to give that guy a little honk, say howdy. So there, I was in third gear. I just went up to fourth. It got quieter, it kind of felt bogging. Now as I'm going down this hill, I'm generating speed. It's getting louder. Up to 50. Go ahead, up to fifth gear right there. Smoothed it out. Now I'm in fifth gear doing about 50. And just cruise right here. The bike is a little bit loud, so go up to sixth gear. Oh yeah. Quieted everything down a little bit. I still have a nice smooth steady throttle. I still feel like I have some power available, but everything's much smoother. The bike's not yelling at me. I can just hold my throttle steady and enjoy the ride. I'll show you guys a little demonstration right here. So here's what happens a lot of time with the students. If I'm in first gear here, I'm going to find that friction zone, right, with my left hand. So I want you to try to see my clutch there, right there already. So bike's not moving, no throttle whatsoever. As I reach that point, now the bike starts to move forward. If I let the clutch out all the way, bike's gonna stall out, right? So I need to find that friction zone first. Once I get into that spot, the bike starts to move. I can hold my hand there and just allow the bike to start walking. Now I can start to add a little bit of throttle in if I want. Just hold my speed steady. Notice I'm all the way, I'm not using the clutch anymore. Now I've generated a little bit of speed. I'm doing about 10 miles an hour. Now watch, I'm going to squeeze in the clutch, shift up to second gear, ease the clutch back out, and continue on. So work on your shifting. Hopefully this video helps you. If you have any comments or questions, leave them down below.